What happens to baby killers in prison? We're going to discuss two pieces of shits that were both brutally murdered in prison. This is a warning. Do not ever consider a boyfriend as a babysitter. The system will fail these kids, the schools, DCF, every facet. But as parents, we cannot. Girlfriends, boyfriends are not babysitters. There is no more girls' night out. There is no more guys' night out. It's over. You protect your child at all costs. You give up your vices, you sacrifice your fun, and you protect your child. You damn sure don't leave him with this piece of shit, Derek Bush. Yet after being brutally murdered in his protective custody cell after the door magically opened, this was the picture they found. Like he just had an accident, right? Slipped on a banana peel. Great dude. We'll get into that afterwards. Then there's this piece of shit from North Carolina who brutally, viciously murdered his girlfriend's 20-month-old daughter. Somehow, his prison cell will be open after master roster lockdown count, where he'd be chased out of his cell and stabbed 9 times in the day room. During court, he blamed the murder of the child on his PTSD. Yet in his obituary, he shows it with honors. So when it's time to get away with murdering a baby, he blames the military, but when he's trying to save face in his obituary, he represents the military. Piece of shit. Let's get into both of the failures, the disgusting, fucking vile creatures. Personally, I think both mothers should be held responsible, and the prison justice that took place. Let's get into it. First piece of shit we're going to talk about is Derek Bush. This piece of shit will be left home with his girlfriend of only 90 days, 3 kids, including 2 twins, and of course, the beautiful 5-month-old baby girl that he brutally killed because he couldn't handle the pressure. Instead of being a man and taking care of the child, he took out all his frustrations and just weakness on the child. She left to go do whatever she wanted to do, have a couple drinks. It was 10:03 p.m. He would leave a voicemail on the mother's phone telling her to call 911 immediately because Kensley was not breathing. The fuck? Why aren't you calling 911? You already know what's going on. Kensley's mother located Derek and her infant at the fire department. She immediately noticed Kensley had a black eye. Her nose was bleeding and there was a large bruise on the side of her face. According to the report, the piece of shit coward Bush laid sleeping Kensley down in her playpen, then went and got one of the twin brothers and brought him to the bedroom where he laid him down in the crib. The creep stood there, looking at the baby for 5 to 10 minutes before he went back into the other room and found Kensley not breathing. The coward would claim as he was running drunk down the stairs and trying to perform CPR, he fell with the infant and thus causing injuries to the infant's head. This was not intentional, Edwards said. He is very remorseful for what happened and is accepting responsibility. By the way, that's that piece of shit's lawyer. Welch, on the other hand, said the hospital report and the autopsy contradict the defendant's claim. And the truth comes out. Blunt force trauma caused by a blow to the skull that resulted in brain hemorrhaging ultimately caused the death. Welch, the prosecutor, said she had a black eye, a bloody nose, rib fractures, and bruising under the chin. How can a child even make you do that? How can you even have any of those feelings towards a child? Welch said it's highly unlikely all of these injuries were caused by dropping the child. But as we know, it will only get worse. Waiving his pre-sentence investigation, Bush was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. He has a chance to get out after brutally beating a child, a beautiful baby, to death. But they said additionally he'll have to register as a violent offender. What the fuck? This part really pisses me off. The mother of the 5-month-old infant who died on July 18, 2019, sobbed uncontrollably Friday as she heard the life sentence judgment for the man who prosecutors said killed her daughter. At the defense table, 41-year-old Derek Bush of Roseville apologized to the family for what he maintains was an accident that caused the death of Kensley. But hold on, Mom. Prior to that incident leading to the baby girl's death, Bush had a criminal history that included charges of domestic violence, substance abuse. According to reports, on the night of Kensley's fatal injuries, Bush was under the influence of alcohol and drugs while caring for the child. As we all know, he initially claimed that he tripped and fell while carrying Kensley, later admitted being intoxicating and dropping and causing the fatal injury. So she's crying those crocodile tears because she let a man with a history of beating women and children, who was high as a motherfucker, stay with her 3 babies while she left, and then gets a message that her kid isn't breathing and nobody called 911, they give the man a chance for parole, right? At November 12th, 2024, Bush will get the true justice. It's ironic at that. While in his protective custody cell, the door would open when 4 inmates would rush into his cell, kicking, stomping, and stabbing him while he was in the fetal position, have a broken orbital bone, lacerations to the head, the neck, and the ribs, where they would find him dead in his protective custody cell in the fetal position, covered in his own blood. This guy, right? This guy here. This guy, this piece of shit. And he ran. He tried to run too after killing the child. Then I find this. Oh, Derek Bush. Read it. Derek Matthew Bush, known to many simply as Bushy, was a lover of life and all its wild, beautiful chaos. Who the fuck is that guy? They go on to talk about his family, his children, his boys. They name everybody, even his grandsons. But they don't name the child he viciously murdered. His spirit was restless. His story's legendary. His heart was too big for its own good. What the fuck? Though he settled into construction work as his trade, he didn't limit himself to just one path in life. Over the years, Derek tried his hand at everything from exotic dancing to shrimp boat deckhand. What the fuck are they talking about? The man killed a child. Exotic dancer, Magic Mike? Come on, this guy was Magic Mike? Where was he at? At the local trap house? Stop it. But for all his laughter and wild stories, in his later years, he found himself on a path he hadn't planned and couldn't escape, one that dimmed his light. No, he killed a child, he beat women, he was a raging lunatic, and got murdered in his protective custody cell. Oh, look at his friends. Deirdre and family, I'm so sorry for your loss. So very sorry for your loss. Prayers and hugs. They would even go on to ask for donations for this piece of shit to be buried somewhere respectably. Sorry, you were murked in a prison cell for what you did to that little girl. On to the next one. This coward scumbag disgrace of our military, Christopher Michael Edwards, after serving in the military, would murder a beautiful baby girl and blame it on the military. Remember, this is his obituary. We'll get into that in a second. They say karma never sleeps, but in prison, karma doesn't just knock, it kicks the door off the hinges. This is the story of Christopher Michael Edwards, disgraced U.S. Army veteran and now a convicted baby killer. And ultimately, another name crossed off the prison justice ledger. His crime was brutal, his defense was twisted, and his ending poetic. Coward and disgrace, Christopher Michael Edwards was born January 25th, 1985. Decorated Army veteran, Edwards served multiple tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, as his obituary would later lean heavily on this. So would his defense, painting a portrait of a proud soldier, a family man, a man of honor. But the truth is, monsters wear medals too, as we know they infiltrate every facet of our society. On October 30th, Edwards was left alone with baby Lily. Something happened behind closed doors, something unspeakable. Lily was rushed to Mission Hospital with traumatic brain injury. Doctors described her condition as consistent with shaken baby syndrome or blunt force trauma. The baby girl was brain dead. Edwards told the police he didn't know what happened. He claimed she simply fell. Medical experts disagreed. Her injuries were deliberate, they were violent, they were final. Notice how they all forget what happened to these babies, but not the inmates. She was declared dead on November 1st, 2012. Edwards was charged with first-degree murder. Coward would go on trial in 2018, where he leaned heavily on the PTSD defense. The attorney blamed it all on the combat, said it had left him physically broken, that he blacked out and couldn't recall hurting the baby girl. Even had 2 psychiatrists back him, said he had memory loss, said he was fragile, but the jury saw something else. They saw an adult man who crushed a baby's skull, who never called 911 or ever showed remorse. Fast forward 5 years, as in prison, time doesn't exist, only opportunity. 9 p.m., April 30th, 2024, final lockdown, lights out. But that night, something went wrong. Edward's cell door didn't lock, whether due to malfunction, setup, or manipulation. It stayed cracked just enough. He tried to get out, tried to move toward the day room, and that's when it happened. Another inmate, identity still officially unconfirmed, slid from his own cell, blindsided him, chased him into the common area. Then the stabbing began. Not once, not twice, but 9 savage strikes. The abdomen, the neck, the chest. Edwards collapsed into the fetal position, ironically mirroring the age and innocence of the child he murdered. It didn't stop there. He was gutted, disemboweled, and left bleeding on the cold tile, curled like the baby whose life he stole. The attacker walked back to his cell, calm and methodical. For nearly an hour, no one came. Edwards bled out alone. No guards, no medical staff, just silence and justice. And this is how they want you to remember him. Never mention the baby once. Stay out, stay free.